What is up, everybody? It is Alex from Heavy New York calling from Zoom again, and this time we are here with Tuck of Fit for a King. Great to be able to talk with you, man. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure. I mean, honestly, I should have just. I'm coming into the city to go to Pete's Candy Shop later, so I should have just came over and met you.
Yeah,
Um,
it happens,
but
but
for Pete's Candy Store, whatever that small, that other venue,
yeah.
friend of mine's playing over there this evening.
Oh, that's cool.
But
That's cool. Yeah, I mean, it's a busy
yeah.
day today. You're my fifth interview today, so it's going to be a
Oh
long
Jesus.
night of editing. But it's so great to have you here because we got The Hell We Create coming out October 28th this year. Was the intention of this album to just make a continuation or like a sort of like the sequel of what we heard off of The Path, or was this meant to be sort of like a new beginning for Fit for a King in a way?
It feels like a response in some ways where the path we wrote that album with this very positive triumphant mindset. COVID didn't happen yet. We're about to go on tour with Parkway Drive and do this like worldwide headliner. Like, we were on some shit, we were super stoked. And then all that stuff happens, and it kind of felt like we were making something that felt like the opposite of that album in some ways, where the things we experienced during that whole time period um, just kind of put us in a completely different mindset. And it's funny because at first we had, different ideas for what the artwork should look like. And then Kirby was just like, but what if the artwork was just like kind of the opposite of the Path's artwork, where she's just completely disheveled and busted up now? And I think we learned a lot from the Path, where there was a lot of stuff that we thought our fans really enjoyed from it. And then there were some fans that were like, maybe you guys could have been a little heavier. So we took some bits and pieces. But yeah, I would say in a way it's almost like a response to the Path.
It almost seems like it's kind of like the dark side of the path. And I think when you put those words together, the path to the hell that we create, it really does kind of have like a sort of a positive negative effect behind it. I would almost consider, my analysis of it after what you just told me, because I was also sort of thinking the same thing. I really consider the path and the hell we create to almost be kind of like a double album in a way. I feel like this has its sort of concept, like before the worst of times and after the worst of times.
Absolutely. And I think that people will be able to like value the two for those, like, for that reason itself, like be able to listen to them in succession and like actually connect with the band on when we feel both ways, like, a little bipolar, if you will. Like, I don't want you to just love me at my best. I want you to love me at my worst too,
Definitely.
kind of thing. Just like any good relationship.
Yeah. Do you feel that the first
Yeah.
four singles that you released, such as Reaper or And the Other Side or Times Like This, etc., do you think that that maybe serves as a good representation of what the entirety of the hell we create will sound like, or is that just the tip of the iceberg?
It is a good example. It's a kind of a little bit of everything where, there's we didn't lean too hard in any particular direction. I'd like to say it's pretty well rounded. Um, I think that we did Reaper first because we wanted the fans to be reassured, like, hey, we still got it. We still got the heavy. Don't worry about it. Times Like This is like another kind of like Price of Agony type song. And Falling was just that. Falling Through the Sky is that song that just undoubtedly, that and End, I feel like, were just the two where we were like, these we think just best represent what we want people to take away from the album. Where I just think End The Other Side is a great, well-rounded Fit for a King song. It has all the stuff you want from a Fit for a King song. And then Falling Through the Sky is us taking a bit of a chance, but it's very authentic and real. And we have such great memories of creating that song. And I think it just means so much to us that we really want that song to take.
Hmm.
So,
Well,
yeah.
be, I've always thought that Fit for a King's music was a little bit on the relatively experimental side. Sure, people like to call Fit for a King metalcore, and I definitely see that analysis in there.
Yes.
But I see so many sides of it. I see old school elements from the Kill Switch Engages or Unearths to, like more modern bands that, we would see in a band like Crown the Empire or something like that. You know what I mean? I feel like fans of multiple metalcore
Yeah,
generations could appreciate it. Is it fair to say that maybe trying new things in Fit for a King is almost part of the songwriting process, and that may be kind of easy in a way to bring in step into uncharted territory?
absolutely. Yeah, we definitely have never been the band that's like, hey, we have one formula and we follow this all the time. And some people do that, and that's fine if that's what you want to do. It's just, we don't like to get stuck to any particular like style or like direction for our band. Like, we're gonna have songs that are really heavy, we're gonna have songs that are really light, we're gonna have songs that are the in between. you know we'll just never become like a full-time butt rock band because we don't want to make everyone mad.
Hey, you know what? It'll get a lot of people talking, though.
Oh yeah. I mean, I got this song that me and our guitar player Dan wrote the other day, and I put it up on my Instagram, and it's pretty good. I figured out what the formula is for writing the ultimate butt rock chorus, and it's just asking people if you can get a hell yeah. That's all they want, and that's the whole chorus. It's the hook. Go listen to it. The band's called Patriot Act. It's terrible. It's the worst shit you've ever heard in your whole life.
Yeah, well, just remember, though, those one-hit wonder butt rock anthems, I won't name names, obviously, but some of those bands will forever be able to headline arenas just because of one song.
Yo, bro, if I could have one, I'd take that shit. I'm not playing. I'm going to do it. You just wait. It's a joke song for now. I'm coming for it. I'm going to do it for real. I've got 2 of them that I've been cooking up for a while. And when the day comes that Fit for a King is ready to release the most butt rock song ever, then we're going to get stacks and get super paid.
Hell yeah, and you heard it here first. Kind of going back into the history of Fit for a King, and I could be wrong, but your first album was actually the 3rd album, Slave to Nothing, right?
Yeah.
So when you joined up with Fit for a King, were you looking at Creation, Destruction, and Descendants, almost kind of being like, okay, this is how I have to contribute, or were you kind of like given free range to bring a little bit of your own mix into Fit for a King?
I wish I would have more. I didn't. I had almost. I listened to the songs that they asked me to learn, and I listened to those ones a lot. And then I didn't really listen to, like, there was stuff from Descendants when I joined the band that I didn't listen to. That sounds so shitty and arrogant. But I just wasn't. I wanted to actively not try to be like Eric.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to be like him. I didn't want to just go and try to sound like him. I didn't want to sing like him. I wanted to do my shit. And probably should have listened a little more. I think Slave to Nothing would have been a better record if I did. So poor decision on my part. But no, I really, I didn't look at it as a blueprint. But our band at the time of Slave to Nothing was also in a really weird place. Because the guys, I was coming into this thing, like, I had known them for like 3 weeks before, like, in person. We had talked for like 4 months, finally got the call, hey, come try out for the band. Did a 3-week tour with them and Kublai Khan and Sirens and Sailors. And then they were like, all right, let's go make Slave to Nothing. And I joined the band. And they just didn't even get along that great at the time. Like, there was definitely like a relearning how to be a band, because Justin and Aaron were out. Now it's just Jared and Ryan and Bob, and they're like figuring out how to like properly be a band and communicate without those other people. And I'm just this like weird new guy from New York while they're all from Texas. I'm way different. I'm louder. I say shit that's obnoxious. Definitely more in your face kind of person. And it was a lot of like character clashing in a very quiet way, where everyone was kind of off doing their own thing. Like, Bob was working on guitars. Kirby and I are like writing vocals parts and sending each other lyrics, but not really like talking that much. And Jared was just kind of off in his own little la la land. And it was a tough album to make. You know, I think you can hear it, that it's a little confused.
Hmm.
I think I loved what I contributed to it because I had so much that I wanted to get off of my soul, like by the relief of being in a band finally. Like I had chased it so hard for so long that there was definitely like this really cathartic sense of relief.
Hmm.
Um, but I completely understand when people listen to Slave to Nothing and they're just like, yeah, this isn't my favorite one. Like it seems a little all over the place. The band was a little all over the place. Like Sempiternal was out, North Lane is super hot. We're like, what do we do with this fucking band? And what we needed to do was just be fit for a king.
Absolutely.
But we were definitely like taking influence from a lot of places that had us just a little lost at the moment.
That has to
But
happen sometimes, you know. I think when you go off in other directions, it allows you to sort of get back together. It sort of allows you to sort of return, where you kind of like know your place, but also learn what to do and what not to do. I think it's fair to say that Slave to Nothing was that whole album and its cycle was a learning experience within itself, right?
oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, just in joining a band and having your first like real tour be Warped Tour, and you know the blessings that I've received by being a part of this group are insurmountable. It's crazy,
Yeah.
but it yeah, and that's why I look at Slave very positively because it changed my life.
Yeah.
You know, there are definitely fans that, and I for a long time I took it very personally when people were like, album shit, guy sounds like a bad Cove Rebirth. Be like, yeah, I get it, I totally get it now. At the time I didn't want to get it because I poured my heart into it. I said some shit on that album that was like I had never spoken before. It was like very sincere for me. So I didn't want to it's hard when you put your like I would say that's the perk of the hell we create. Kirby said this album with his whole ass. It's very, 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 very real. It's very honest. It hurts. It's not just like times like these are about like as positive as this album gets. It's you know it's a hard slap in the face of reality of what it's like to have gone through the pandemic period, you know, and on top of that, the guy almost lost his wife to a stroke and adopted at the beginning of the pandemic like a 14 and 9-year old. Now Madison is 16, you know, and he's 32. It's weird.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like, dude's got a full fucking plate, man. You know, so all that is in this album. And I think that since I don't know, it's just what I've always wanted to hear from Ryan.
Well,
So is the side of him that I wanted him to give. Yeah.
well, being both that you and Ryan contribute vocally to the album, you bringing, you know, both of you having different vocal styles, and you do you almost kind of need to be in a similar emotional state of mind when it comes to either writing the lyrics or tracking the vocals or even playing live together in order to kind of like make your different voices sort of like go along together in the album, create sort of like an element of consistency in a way? Or is it kind of better if you're all in kind of your own different worlds and headspaces, and that kind of like adds contrast to the song?
Well, that's very interesting. I would say that I tend to be the oddball out, and I have a harder like in the way that our band creates. Um, I write from a very emotional standpoint, and I'm not necessarily the easiest. And Ryan is very level headed and very hardworking and like always kind of stays on task, you know? So I would say that like it's easier. Sometimes there will be parts where I guess I can use two examples. I'll use like that him and I are both on. Um, like Death Grip is something that like Ryan wrote and presented vocally to me and was like, hey, I think you would sound really cool singing this part. Versus like When Everything Means Nothing is him and I like writing together, thinking about the same thing and being in the same headspace, because at that time we were able to like meet each other there, where you just can't always make that happen, you know, like I would say that I'm overly emotional, like, and he is very logical and balanced and like wise. And then like we have to find each other in this perfect little place. And when we do, it rocks. Like there's a song called Reaching Out on the new record that is us like kind of finishing each other's thoughts. And I think that that one does it well. Yeah, it's hard, but everyone's really patient.
Yeah.
I'd say they're more patient than I am.
Yeah,
Um,
I interviewed
but
Ryan on the
yeah,
phone. I interviewed Ryan on the phone, like at the very beginning of lockdown, and I'm noticing a stark difference between you two, and I think that's actually really cool. And I think it adds more
we're like
context.
good cop and bad cop, you know?
Wasn't that what
It's
metalcore is
like,
all about?
you know it, man.
Yeah, you guys just have
Yeah,
it.
it's, dude, he's one of the best influences I've had on my life other than like my dad. Like, dude is insanely bright and well spoken and gathered and capable and like the kind of person that you can put some weight on their shoulders and you know that they're gonna like do it. And he does it too much for too many people sometimes, because he is like a very gracious, kind person. Like he's like he is, you know, in every like, when you look at rock music or even when you look at like general stories, there's like the good guy superhero and then there's like the super anti-villain, or there's like the giant piece of shit rock star, or there's like the really good person who you just want it to fucking work for. Like he is that, like the realest, nicest dude like in metal music,
That's
you know.
awesome. That's
So
awesome to hear. When is there ever a
yeah.
time where lyrically, because you write from a very emotional spot, could the concept of a Fit for a King song maybe help guide your hand with regards to the music itself? Could a concept or a lyrical
Oh
idea
yeah.
determine the sound itself, or is it more preferred to have music already in place before lyrics come into play?
Yeah, well, that's kind of like where it gets a little different for some of us. We're generally like Ryan is really good at like taking music that's already written and writing to it, and I like to just like sit with an acoustic guitar and write a part and bring it to the band, and then like write based off of that. Where like the song I mentioned before, like Reaching Out, is like an example of that, where that was just like an acoustic thing I wrote and I was like, hey, I think this would be a cool chorus. And then that mood from that chorus, and once you like Dan and Bob took it and they found like, actually we think it would sound best in this key, and let's use, you know, this kind of chord voicing instead of this chord voicing, and then molding it from there, all from this little just like 3 chord acoustic melody. And so it kind of depends on, you know, the song and the mood and like what we're going for, but generally most things are like music first and then vocals. And Kirby has the ultimate say of like, say we start working on an instrumental and we've had it for like a couple days and Kirby's listening to it and he's like, nah, I got nothing, just scrap it and
Wow.
keep going.
Um,
Yeah, because it's got to strike. You want that first inspiration. Like you want, when you hear something, you start like hearing it in your head, and you're like, oh yeah, like I gotta do this right now. You know.
that's pretty impressive, and also big risk. Like you're never worried like maybe it just wasn't resonating with you at that specific time, but then you put it aside and come back and listen to it later, it could hit you differently.
It's possible, and usually it'll stay in the Dropbox.
Okay.
So like it'll, you know, he'll be able to like go back to it and listen to it later on if he wants to. But we just won't put as much focus into it, like as versus, you know, when you start writing something and everyone's really in on it and really enjoying it, and it's a lot easier to just like get that to feel like an 8 or a 9 out of 10 faster than like sometimes you really want a song to work, but it's just not working, but you waste a whole week trying to make it work versus you could have written 2 other songs that would have been real bops in that time period.
And when it comes to playing this live, when you take these different songs and play them live, does that almost put you in that same emotional headspace as you did when you first started writing it, or being that you're presenting it in front of an audience, you're playing together in front of an intense show, that it has a different emotional meaning behind it when you bring it into a live setting?
No, I'd say it feels about the same. Like like one song I guess that I use as an example for that is like When Everything Means Nothing, where I definitely wrote that at a very difficult time in my life. I think pre-COVID, that was like the darkest thoughts I had, uh, and I still kind of get there when I play it, but in a really like it fills me with so much overwhelming joy now because I can like feel the pain that I had, but then watching people sing it back is like, oh, dude, like there's no better feeling than having that wash over you. Like it's like marrying my wife. It's like crazy shit. Like, so I definitely, I can't speak for Ryan, but definitely I like to go there. Like I feel comfortable, and I think I naturally tend to go there. But I'm in La La Land when I'm playing anyway. Like I like to just disconnect and like I don't know. It feels like the Matrix. Doesn't like it's the whole like when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life kind of thing.
That
Except for it's like feeling like you're constantly in a dream state because like when I was a little kid, this was Major League Baseball to me. This was the NFL to me. I wanted to be Davey Hammond. I wanted to be Story of the Year. I wanted to be like, and we're kind of like doing it, in some way, shape, or form. Won't maybe never be as legendary as those people, but to me, and maybe to some people, we are. And for that, I just am in awe of it every time I play. Like especially on like an I Prevail Pierce the Veil tour. Crazy.
Yeah, that is absolutely insane. And forget that I hate that bullshit saying if you love what you do, you never worked a day in your life. That's incredible. There's always trials and tribulations to doing what you love, what you do. The creative arts
Yeah.
and doing what you love. Doing what you love is painful. It is excruciating,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
It's so hard, and you know that that's the beauty of so many like people that try to pursue art as a job. Where I was having a talk with a friend like a week and a half ago, and they were just in a hard spot, and you just gotta stop sometimes and remember like, yo, if your whole story was fucking paved in gold and roses, you wouldn't have anything to write about. You're making your story. You're okay for every moment you're feeling miserable and it's not what you want and it's everything that you had hoped it would not be. It's actually very positive because that's the stuff that is molding you into this awesome, creative, brilliant flower that is going to bloom and become everything that you wanted to be. It
definitely.
just, you can't expect life to be that easy because it's not for anyone. And any good story you've heard is never just, well, the whole childhood was awesome and everybody was awesome and my whole life was awesome. And then I was a super billionaire and I had the hottest lady ever and my life was great. And then I died. And I left all the money to the whole world and everything was better and I solved everything.
That would be the
It
most
just doesn't
boring.
exist.
That would be the most boring book ever.
Yeah,
And
but if all those super billionaires did give away all their money, that would be so fucking cool. But
I mean,
I'll take some if they want to give it to me.
yeah, I'll gladly take the money, but yeah, again, that would be a
Yeah, I'm
very
not saying they got to. I'm just saying if somebody wants to give me some cash, like, I'll do something cool with it. Like,
Yeah.
buy myself something sweet.
Yep. Suffering. They say that death and taxes is the most certain things in life. I think people they left out suffering. We all suffer one way or another, and you are, and I'm very thankful that like both you and Ryan and everybody in Fit for a King, because I think that you do make music that teaches people to triumph over turmoil, and I think that you do have a great
Thank
inspiration
you.
on your fans. And I'm the journalist at every show that I go to, so I talk to every you know fan of the show, asking what their opinions. When I when I saw you guys on the Light the Torch show with Ice Nine Kills at the end of 2019, people were resonating with you so heavy. I think in the end, the fact that you are resonating with a great fan base, you have a very dedicated fan base. I think in the end, the art that you create for yourself is always sending a positive message, whether it is in a major, happier mode or a more dark note.
Thank you very much. And that's all we really want, man. Is you have this short period of time, you get to do this stuff, and we just want to give it our full effort and make something that we feel is an artistic, sincere, piece of ourselves. And we're very thankful to still be here after this time of like, everything going to shit. And you never really know if people are still going to give a fuck about your band. And then getting to come back and do some of the tours we've done, or like be on the one we're on, like you know we're feeling very blessed.
Hell yeah.
So thank you.
And we're blessed to have your music. So before we go, I want to thank you so much for your time today and for such a really awesome conversation. I wasn't expecting this conversation to go as deep as it was, so really thank you for something inspiring. Is there just anything else with Fit for a King that you would like to promote with the release of The Hell That We Create? This will be uploaded by midnight tonight, so if there's any tours scheduled for like the summer of 2025, don't say it here.
Yeah, there is some stuff I can't tell you about, but we will be going, if you're listening international, we will be going to Europe and playing with the Amity Affliction pretty soon, which is going to be super sick. We have a headliner that we are going to announce, and I can't wait to show you guys the lineup. Please just pre-save the album. If you want to buy a vinyl, go buy a vinyl. This is very helpful to us, means a lot to us. And, I hope you all enjoy the album. So
Awesome.
that's it, man. Thank you.
Thank you so much, everybody. We are here with Fit for a King. Be sure to check out The Hell We Create, out October 28th. We will see you next time on Heavy New York.